Hello, everybody. It's me again. Please. Okay. So, there was no video last week. Surprise. And I apologize that I did not put out an actual post that said that there would be no video that week. Sorry, we needed to skip a week and it was a necessary week, and I'm glad that we skipped that week. I will definitely be attempting more as I go on to notify you guys straight up and say, yeah, there will be a video. No, they won't. No, there won't, in case I can't make it happen or life does not align for it to happen that way. So I will definitely try to do that moving forward. Anyways, hi. Thank you guys so much for what you said on my last post, my last video. There were a lot of comments regarding my last video that made me want to talk about today's, that made me want to broaden what it is that I've been saying and what it is that I've said in that last video surrounding the way that you see yourself, the way that you view what you are through your perspective. And in the last video, I got a lot of love, and we were talking about, and we were having conversations in the comments about that being applied to your art or your creation and the things that you make. But I've really been motivated and inspired this week to talk about that same concept, but as that relates to who you are and what you are. Just in your existence, just in everyday life, right? Now, I've told you guys before as well that I used to do tarot and a couple of other things, right? This video, amongst many others on this channel, even as it relates to the socio-economical, the socio-political structures of the world, there's always an element of universality? There'll always be a bit of wholeness to what it is that I'm actually saying, right? And just like my thoughts, my philosophies, my teaching, and the things that I want to share with y'all, and so many versions of the same thing being shown back, but through different lenses, back to me whenever we're talking about it, which is a beautiful experience, right? So today is a little bit deeper as it applies to the world, your existence, who you are, but also even some of the I want to make sure I say this right. Some of the other common threads between a lot of philosophies and spiritual concepts. We're not talking about religion, but spiritual concepts of life, no matter how you view them or interpret them, the way it kind of all links back to this sort of center point, right? That's what we're talking about as it applies to you. So, I want to say that in my last video, there was a lot about perspective and the way that you see yourself. And in another video, and as well as one I posted on TikTok, I talked about the importance of you discovering that for yourself and knowing that for yourself. As well as why I decided to change up so much of my content when I first started making content, right? Let's talk about that perspective thing. In some way, shape, or form, Yeah, I'm gonna do this. You have a shadow, right? In some way, shape, or form. Now, I don't care if you're talking whatever perspective you have on that shadow, whatever religion it comes from, whatever whatever spirituality, whatever spiritual practice, whatever spiritual system that comes from. No matter if that's simply specific and individual to mental health, whether that relates to both of those concepts together, whether it relates to, you just being a biological human with fight or flight instincts and the ability to take on trauma and what happens to the body and the bones and the skeletons and it doesn't really matter, right? Let's broaden up a little bit beyond one singular thing. But in some way, shape, or form, you have a shadow. And this shadow is responsible for a lot of things. And for this video purposes and for me speaking and for my own truths, you got a shadow, right? That shadow is responsible for a number of things. That shadow is responsible for keeping you on your toes, giving you every possible outcome of what's next. What amazing thing could be next? What terrifying thing could be next? What shocking thing could be next? What is it that you like, you don't like, you hate, you don't hate, you worry, you do worry. Now let's. You ever heard of the subconscious mind? We're gonna even broaden it up to that. Your own subconscious mind. The fact that your brain just produces recognizable patterns and things happening within your own mind, within yourself, right? Let's talk about that. Let's widen it. So you're doing the same hobbies, you're doing the same thing, you're going through the same cycles, you keep reaching this point where, let's say, the healing work that you're doing isn't really paying out right. There's certain limiting beliefs and thoughts that you have that just keep coming back about yourself, about life, just keep repeating and you can't get rid of it. It's like maybe in 3 months you finally beat this bad habit that you've been trying to break, but then in another 2 months you're sort of back on that bad habit, which doesn't make sense at all because you were going completely straight up in life and like things were actually starting to progress. So why in the world would you have like a couple of bad days or weeks and just turn right back to it? That job, that safety, that fear, that shame, that guilt, that self-hatred, that ridicule, that grotesque, the things that you have in your mind that you say or that you would do, but you would never tell another living soul, no matter who it is, that you think those things or say those things or have thought about those things and X, Y, and Z. Right? Your subconscious mind is responsible to try to give you a little bit of, as some scientists may say, from a biological fight or flight human brain, neurons ingesting, pushing out X, Y, and Z, mental health factors, biological factors, whatever, right? Or some spiritualists may say, sort of forgot what I was saying at the beginning there. Sorry, guys. We've been on a roll since I began. Anyways, insert. So, the subconscious mind is responsible for a lot of different things. But what's common about so many different ideologies or perspectives or approaches or routes to understanding that sort of subconscious mind, our subconscious patterns, our subconscious habits, the things that we do, the things that we say, the things that we think, the healing work that needs to be done, our self-shame, our guilt, our ability to have fun, our ability to love, our ability to let in love, our ability to feel whole, to feel like an individual, to let things flow for us, to go after the things we want, to be receptive to the things that we want, to have faith in ourselves, the thoughts that we think, our mental health, our what are people saying about me, our authentic self, all of these different things, right? The shame, the guilt, the things that we like, the things that we eat, our bad habits, good habits, our vices, secret shame, all of it, right? Marriages, love affairs, dreams, wishes, stardom, fame, a basic life, a simple life, a good life, a wife, a husband, a dog, a kid, like, just life as well. That your shadow is responsible for telling you things about, giving you pictures and viewpoints and images and art to be made about, right? Now, there's a common thread, but let's talk about where those threads start to differ. Those threads begin to differ when you're walking your own individual path and your belief system, your philosophy, your thought process, your understanding, your existential connection to, the knowledge you read, the things that you write. And let's say you don't have one of those things, or you don't feel like you have one of those things, then let's just use the word your perspective throughout life, your perspective on this thing. And even you not having or choosing not to have a belief or an attachment to any of those things, a faith or whatever, a thought process, a belief system in any way, in anything, cool. That's a perspective. Amazing. Literally. So, let's use the word perspective. The difference is that your perspective is what's different on what this shadow in you is. How do you deal with it? What is it preventing me from? How do I walk through life with it? How do I beat this? How do I beat this shadow? How do I away with this shadow? And not only what is it preventing me from, but how is this preventing me from getting to the full access of love, of acceptance, of knowing, of power, of authenticity, of flow, of ease, of freedom, of connectedness, of being here, of being led by passion and heart, and receiving all the things that it is that I want in any type of way, no matter what your belief is, but receiving, the ideas, the gifts, the luxury, the relationship, the house, the time alone, the freedom, the ability to just feel loving and accepting in your own body for your own sake, for your own self, your ability to create, to have belief, to beat this pattern, to beat this habit, to beat the right? Stop trying to beat it. And what I mean by that is that it all goes back to your perspective. Your perspective of what this shadow is and how it's supposed to serve you. But here's something that I want to elaborate on, to introduce, to build on what I was saying in my last video. And I want to make sure that I'm talking about this in a way that is intentfully said at this moment. So much of your own self-power, self-love, and everything that I have said so far in this video that you would love to access and you're trying to learn how to deal with internally and transfer that to the external and yada, 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 right? Everything that I've said your access to all of that, your access to yourself, your access to that freedom is in you eradicating the idea that there's something wrong with you in the first place. And what I mean, to add on to that, sorry, I have visitors. To add on to that, when I started my spiritual journey, when I began diving deeper into trying to access this for myself, trying to come to a sense of wholeness and come to a sense of developing who it is that I am as a person, developing who it is that I am as an artist, embracing that and building individualism and building authenticity and building a higher understanding, an open understanding, a flowing understanding of what it is that I am, who it is that I am, and why I am the way that I am, and the beauty and the purposefulness, the purpose, the strength, the perfection of what that recipe is and why it manifests the way that it does, which in another language, in another way of speaking it to you, depending on your own perspective or belief or whatever the case may be, it resonates the same for all of us. What so many of us are trying to do in life. But when I first started, there was so much content, spiritual content, mental content that I took on, all based in there is something that you actively need to do, actively need to hold, actively need to believe, actively have to in order for you, actively have to repeat, actively have to continuously walk through in order for you to access what it is you want, access a more higher fulfilled version of who you are and what it is that you are. And in some ways, depending on how you want to look at it, a bit of that is true. Some of that is true. Some of those items can be true. For example, let's say you're a person that has a problem with adultery, or you're a person who has a problem with stealing, or a person that has a problem with a lot of self-shame, a lot of self-guilt. You're a person with a problem. And by the way, when I'm saying problem, we ain't even that even to the video yet. A person who loves to cook, a person who loves to draw, whatever. Let's say you're one of those people. I'm gonna get it. Let's say you're one of those people you may have to walk through your journey with that a couple of times. You may have experienced struggles with trying to beat these aspects of yourself. trying to learn how to exist with these aspects of yourself, trying to learn how to accept, how to receive, how to know who it is that you are, and to stand in power of what you are while still navigating those aspects of yourself. I'm not going to lie to you. It's been 15 minutes later, and I just killed Popeyes like I've never killed Popeyes before in my life. Alright, anyways. Back to community. Let's say you have struggled with one of those energies at some point before in your journey, right? And you may have had experiences where you have had to, or maybe have experiences where you have to maybe find yourself in a position of having to consistently face that part of yourself for some reason, or you having to consistently face that energy in some way, shape, or form, right? I was poured into a lot of teachings and understandings and beliefs and self-help books and X, Y, and Z that were absolutely beautiful, necessary, and purposeful in my journey. And that I believe every single community, whether that be mental health enthusiasts, whether that be mental health advocates, whether that be scientists writing the books on the way the brain is structured, whether that be the spiritualist, the guy who's channeling from somewhere else, from another person, from another being, from another realm, the Catholic, the Buddhist, the said something that wasn't right. Anyways, whatever it is, every single one of those people that are one of every single one of those cultures, groups, environments, energies, you right? Whatever people, whatever help, whatever genuine, heart-led, spirit-led, positive influence-led, straight up being a good person-led people in each one of those places and belief systems and ways of walking through life and perspectives and all of that, that's actually trying to help and help people push into that, help people push into their more powerful self, help people deal with their mental health, help people deal with this energy, this shadow, help people get what they want in life, help people go forward in life. Props to every single one, right? It's all of every necessary component. I was put into a lot of teachings that these were things that you sort of had to beat about yourself. The shadow. The dark, the mental health, the bad habits and the bad days, and the belief of in bad days, and the perspective of what makes a bad day, and what makes a bad you, and what makes a bad relationship, and a worry, and a bad manifestation, and a karma, and a karmic connection, and everything, right? But all from this place of fear. Now, this is not to say or dismiss the belief in any one of those things. This is not to say or dismiss anyone else's beliefs in any one of those things. This is not to say that my beliefs are in antithesis to any one of those things. This is to say that the way that those things are so many different concepts and mental health, regular day-to-day books and regular little therapist tips and all of these things, right? All of it. The way that it was introduced to me in a way that activated a perspective, activated a group of energies together that you have to continuously sort of battle, sort of work to overcome, work to master, push and drudge through. And that you're going through this because you didn't do it right the first time. You're going through it again because you need to get better at it. You're going through it again because you failed this. You're going through this because you failed that. You're going through this because you need to keep working and keep breaking this, and you haven't mastered your shadow, and your shadow's coming back again, and just, you made a mistake. You did something that you knew you weren't supposed to do, and the universe is getting you back, just all of these different things. Tips of how to walk away and stop manifesting if you're a bad manifester. Tips on how to stop manifesting in the moment if you're trying to actively manifest something. Tips on how to break away from religious fear and religious trauma. Tips on how to explore your own religion, be open to other religions. Tips on how to see the value and the necessity in all faiths and all philosophies and all religions, and not having a belief at all, and the purposeful of everybody's own journey here and own perspective here, right? But so much of it was in a way of you will have to consistently toggle with this self, or beat this part of yourself, or remember how to do this, or remember this new skill, remember this new technique, remember this new perspective, remember this new moment that you just healed, remember not to do this, remember this bad thing, and don't do this and don't do that, and don't fall back into this. It's a test, it's a test, it's a test, it's a test. Don't believe it, don't believe it, don't believe it, don't believe it. No. Now. Sorry. Now. No. No. Boo. Sorry. Boo. 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 You can't. Man, I'm trying to say it intentfully, but don't piss me off. Because is he real life cutting my grass right now? Now, this is about 2 to 3 hours later, probably 4 maybe, after I recorded the first part, because I was editing it about to post it for you guys, and then I was reviewing maybe the last 30, 35 minutes, and I was like, there's a more crystal clear vision that I want to paint, that I want to portray for you guys as it relates to this topic. So I'm gonna continue it from where I just left off, but let me tell you why I was saying no to a little bit of what I just said. No, because you deserve more than that. No, because, and let me preference this here for the rest of the video. This is not to, and I've already said it once before, right? This is not to dismiss, this is not to negate, this is not to shut down anyone's journey, anyone's experience, anyone's results, anyone's tool or method that connects them to their own spirituality, practitioners, mental health, whatever the case may be. This is to honor all of it, right? But let me tell you why I'm saying no to some of the things that I talked about with the journey that I went through with my, with my experience with all of that I just said. Even with, tarot readers and the advice and the X, Y, and Z, right? There are a lot of misconceptions. There are a lot of ideas surrounding what the shadow is that lies within you, what your ego is, what mental health is, the way that manifests within people. There's what's a bad habit, what's holding you back, what's stopping you from achieving your highest self, what's stopping you to be your wholest self. I had people would tell me all the time, oh well, the reason why this keeps coming up for you is because it's a part of your journey here to constantly learn how to take care of yourself. And I was able to widen my perspective on that and say, okay, well, I must have these things that just keep coming back up for me because it's a part of my journey to constantly learn how to pour that love back into myself. That's a more accurate depiction of what it is that I would like to see for myself in this life internally, versus, oh, this is a part of me that I just struggle with that's miserable. Rather, oh, this is a part of me that is constantly keeping me on my toes. Well, I don't want to say that, but this is a part of me that keeps me in flow with having a practice, or having a reason, having something that to motivate me to constantly be open to opening up my heart to myself, right? Which was beautiful. But hear me out. There are so many misconceptions surrounding your shadow, surrounding your healing, surrounding energy work, surrounding what you are, surrounding what the shadow actually is, the energies that make up your shadow, mental health, your habits, your ideas, your failures, your good manifesting, your bad manifesting, your it's a good day, it's a bad day, your crash outs, your emotions, your shame, your guilt. There's so many misconceptions on what those energies are, how they manifest within you, what you're supposed to be doing with them, that is infiltrated the teachings of healing, of being in a relationship, of manifesting, of being your most authentic self, of being a better person, of having morals. There's so much. I see. I'm about to say BS, but I'm not gonna say that because it's in place for a reason. And this is not to illegitimize anybody's journey, but the way that so much of healing, so much of evolution, and now we're talking about just as a person, right? No matter what area of life it pertains to you, so much of that is taught to you and was taught to me in a way of setting you up for a constant having to work and put in the work on yourself. And hell yeah, shout out to the moments that I had before in my journey where I had to get down and dirty in my journal and isolate and fast, and when I've took vow of silences, and when I've, it's not to negate any of that experience because it was necessary and beautiful. It's to say that a result of the large amount of misconceptions, of limited understandings of the shadow aspect of yourself, of healing, of love, etc., 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 insert all that I've said. A result of that being spread is that there's an ideology, there's a fallacy that is being taught, that's being shared, that infiltrates the perspective of mind, that says that you have to constantly be drilling and hammering on this in order for you to reach a certain thing, a certain person, a certain place, a certain goal, a certain level of fulfillment. That this hobby that you have is the one thing that makes you this, and it's the one thing holding you back. And this perspective that you have is the one thing that's holding you. My personal practice and understanding reveals what the shadow is and how that manifests within people. Right? Now, if you want to talk about this in a universal, cosmic connection type of way, the fact that we all pick up on each other's energies, we all pick up on each other's, let's leave it at that, energy. Even the way that manifests throughout you has to do with what your shadow actually is, what it's made up of. That extra mental energy that you may deal with, the energy of mental health, whatever, the energy of mental illness, excuse me. But you can talk about this through any lens, through any faith, through any program, through any therapist, through any doctor diagnosed illness, through any, once again, this is not to legitimize any of it. You can talk about it through any language. I'm speaking to you through minds currently, right? So my personal practice is the understanding of what that shadow is, but the understanding that goes with that of who it is that we actually are as people. Well, not only what that shadow is, but the way it plays a part into our lives, into ourselves, into our beings, and the way that it does exist for a reason. That it is a constant reminder of what it is and who it is that we actually are, the light at the center of it all, right? You came here to have an easy experience. To know who you are, to be powerful, to exist as you are, to have everything that you want, and to do it, and to live life, and to have this experience. You're going to have a human experience, right? Emotions and delays and things not going right the first time, and all of these different things, and crash outs, and death, and love, and sex, and abuse, unfortunately, and the list goes on, and politics, and right? So you're gonna have a human experience. This is not to negate the human experience. This is to say that there is so many misconceptions that were taught to me and that I see are still being, with good intent, taught and spread to people, that will constantly keep you in the state of, you have to be someone else. You have to fix something. You have to stop doing this thing. Now let's use decency, let's use common sense, let's use morals, let's use ethics, right? But you have to stop doing this one specific thing. You have to get rid of this one thought. You can't indulge in the pleasures of life, right? It's like people who say in order to be a good spiritualist, you have to be vegan. Or people who will sex shame people for having their own kinks and fantasies and openness and closeness and monogamy and this, that, and the third, and you need to get rid of that in order to be a better spiritualist. That you have to constantly be X, Y, and Z, and you have to constantly be doing more shadow. You have to constantly, hey babe, doesn't that sort of just sound like a more spiritual, fancy, esoteric, explorational version of you sort of just getting up and going to work every day and overworking yourself and working to try to achieve something? The way that the misconceptions surrounding the shadow, the misconceptions surrounding your habits, the misconceptions surrounding the subconscious mind, the misconceptions surrounding who you are and what you are and the way that you are meant to exist as you are with the highest intent, with the highest heart, and to just simply receive from the universe, to simply know that you're worthy, to simply know that you're a star, to simply be connected to what it is that you actually are, and to still have a valid human experience where you experience all of the energy, but for every damn day to feel like vacation. And I'm not talking about toxic positivity. I'm talking about tapping into something deeper. Thanks. The misconception surrounding that, and the way that that is taught has kept people working harder than what is necessary in order for you to access that self-worth and all of the shiny things that I just said attached to that. It keeps people in the mode of, there is something within me that must be centered to the left, that must be adjusted, that must be changed, that must be altered. I have to keep moving the chess pieces on the board that is my life in order for me to constantly be rising and stepping into a higher version of myself, a more healed version, a more lovable version, a more loving version, a more trustworthy version, a better version of myself. Nah, scratch that. I have something better to offer you. I have a better perspective to show you. Come here for the people who've practiced active manifesting. Come. That's what I was saying for a second. Sorry, I got a phone call. However, anyways, so true self-acceptance, true self-knowing and getting to know yourself, true self-fulfillment, true connection to a higher self, if you want to tap in even more on that side, on the more spiritual side, to true freedom to be who you are, to do the things that you want to do, to do the things that you choose to do, right? To transcend, this is a bad habit, this is a good habit, and very simply just be, this is who I am, I did this today, period. Once again, let's use common sense. Oh, come back, my manifestors, that's what I was talking about. Go ahead, let me wind y'all in real quick. You've heard the perspective of, oh, you need to hold a high vibration in order to manifest. And you've heard people say, well, this is a high vibration. No, this is a high vibration. No, you should only ever be thinking positively. No, you must, no, you can have negative emotions. People arguing over whether or whether or not it's okay to be human. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. But you've also heard the perspective of, you make up the rules with manifesting, right? So here's a perspective for you. I want a new car. But I have to stop treating myself and stop getting the food that I want and stop spending money on ice cream. I have to stop doing that because I need to show the powers that be that I can manage this money, that I can practice discipline, and I know that I am going to receive that gift. I'm about to manifest a new car with ease. I'm telling you, like, the payment ain't gonna be nothing. That's gonna be taken care of. It's gonna come quick. It's gonna come safe too. Like, I'm literally gonna I'm gonna have like a miracle happen where like somewhere I'm gonna end up with a brand new car, and it's gonna go beautifully for me. It's gonna happen in my best alignment. And I already got that whip. I know what it's gonna smell like. I know what the colors of it are gonna be. I know where I'm gonna take it around. I already know who I'm not letting in my car. Like, I'm getting a new car. I already have it. Me and the universe already made that deal, baby. I'm manifesting it, right? You can have that perspective. You can also have the perspective of, well, you know what? I'm manifesting a new car, but you know what? Today I'm going out and treat myself and spend that money because I know the universe is gonna just bring that money right back to me. I know my check's gonna come. I know that I'm gonna be blessed, and I want to show them that I know that I live in my highest abundance, no matter what. So I can do whatever it is that I want to, and still receive all that I have. You see how both of those methods will probably work for somebody, let's say who is an active manifester, right? What's the difference there? One has a perspective that their habit or hobby that they have is something that they have to give up in order to receive something, while the other person has the opposite perspective, right? And I'm not here to battle between the two. I'm just trying to give you an example, a very tiny example of a bigger thing that I am saying. So the main point of what it is that I'm saying right now is that the key to embracing and unlocking all of this and walking in it as an individual and being embracing and proud and loving of that as an individual is not in the rhetoric that is taught to you. It is not in the humans who make mistakes and who also have limited perspectives trying to teach you that information. It's not in you having to consistently be on the lookout to where you can grow, where you can push yourself, where you can try to be a better person, where you can try. The key to that isn't in any of that. The key is you unlocking the perspective of what it is that you are, taking a look at all of the energy that you experience, taking off the veil of what actually makes up those energies within you, where they come from, why you hear them, why you experience them, in all of this human existence, and taking the glasses off, taking the blindfold off, unveiling the mask, however you want to say it, to every little bitty piece of energy, while you widen the perspective that says, these are things that need to be changed. These are things that are a problem. These are things that I am. I am this person. I am this. I feel this way. I do this. This is the way that I'm meant to run through life. This is a bad habit. This one thing that I do is a bad habit. I have to drop this in order to do this. Let me tell you one of the best things that I did in my life while being in the tarot community, doing readings for other people and receiving readings from other people. When I was on my own journey of trying to accomplish this, one of the best things that I did was stop. And I mean it. This is not to debase that community. It's beautiful and vast and goes across so many different walks of life and faiths and practices and ideologies and philosophies. It's beautiful. But it's to say that I spent 2 years listening to a reader or someone else tell me what the energy that I was experiencing internally was, and how I needed to do it, when humans themselves have their own egos, their own shadows, their own limited perspectives on what energy is, what mental health is, what that emotion is, what self-freedom is, their own idea of what self-freedom is, their own knowledge or understanding of what ultimate self-knowledge and self-acceptance walking in this world is. How to heal, how to receive, how to love, how to let yourself be loved. Everybody has their own experience, their own perspective, their own this. So why would you think that somebody telling you that just because they do have the totem and the usage of a set of cards, why would you think that somebody doing that for you knows more than what you can tap into for yourself? And I promise you, when I put down the constant need to try to fix or change or alter myself, but decided instead to step on a completely new road of let me widen my perspective and understanding and be open to what the energies that I experience are. What are the habits? What are the subconscious replays of my mind that I experience are? Why are they there? Let me open my perspective and reveal what they are and tap into the inner knowing of what it is that I am and how these things work together in beautiful coexistence in order to reveal to me the deep knowing of what I am as an all-powerful being, as an all-receptive being, as a fabulous being, as an authentic being, as a channel for a lot of emotions, as a being, as a spiritual person, as an artist, as a philosopher, as a gender fluid person, as a man, as a girl, as a whatever, right? Let me step on that road. That, I don't know if you heard it, but that opening that perspective and tapping in is where your key to self-understanding, self-fulfillment, and self-honesty of living this life with ease. Easy. I'm talking so easy that it don't matter if, it don't matter if let me not say something terribly catastrophic, but it don't matter what happens. That peace, that stillness is there. I'm about to compare you to a body of water. Let's get into this for a second. You're a body of water, all right? You're water. You're an ocean. You're a nice, hefty, deep, thick ocean. Thick ocean is crazy. And the sharks. And the seaweed and the coral and the shrimp and the beautiful mythological creatures. God, y'all know them creatures are real. Those beautiful creatures, those beautiful high tides and low tides and crashing waves and flooding, and when nature is doing nature, and when the water's still, when there's a sunset over it, just all these beautiful different elements of the water, right? Those are all the little energies that are internally within you. You're water. Is the shark water? No. The coral isn't water. The starfish aren't water, but they're their own unique little energies that come together to make up an ecosystem that exists within the water. The water is still, the water is constant, the water is ever flowing. The water is the knowing of who it is that you actually are at your center, at your core, and tapping into that, walking in that, embracing in that. The shark may feel happy, and then there's another shark that may be experiencing depression, and another shark that regrets that one thing, that one shark that got abused, that one shark who's afraid they may have even abused somebody else. And once again, this is not to placate. This is not to, this is to talk about a real person in a real situation. Raw, authentic. That's all I'm talking about on here. If you ain't got for that, you may not be meant to be here, or you may be meant to be here, right? But the water is the knowing. All the other little creatures are just energies that make up that ecosystem. But I had to identify that shark to say, oh, this is the shark. I can understand this. I can see this shark. To know what this shark is and know what its place is in the water and know why it's there. Right? You can't listen to people who stand at the shore, who study the forest, who has never been to the beach, who hates marine life. You can't listen to somebody, whether they have a Bible, a pack of tarot cards, a PhD. You can't listen to someone who has an inaccurate perspective of what the water is, try to teach you about the ocean, right? It won't make sense. You got to get in that ocean. Before I get too far, the point is what I've already said, but the point is that there's power in knowing who you are and widening your perspective to the way that you are, the way that you exist, and all the different forms of that. That's beautiful. That's where your power and understanding of yourself, that's where your freedom, that's where your courage, that's where your power, that's where who you innately are as a spiritual being, as a person, as a body, as a skeleton. I don't care what you believe, but from talking from me as a spiritual entity, that is what you are. That power that you're constantly trying to find, that you're constantly trying to tap into, that you're constantly trying to feel, it's already there. What perspective has somebody been teaching you? What perspective do you have over what's going on in here and in here and in here and down there? What perspective do you have that tells you that any of that is separate, opposite, misaligned from you being great and from you knowing that you're great, with all of those energies being present. Now, I could do deeper videos on what the shadow actually is, from my understandings and my truths, what the shadow is made up on. I have no energy. I'm abundant in a multitude of spiritual gifts and abilities, right? I could do deeper videos on what the shadow actually is, what the subconscious mind is actually made of, the way that it works, and the way that it is purposeful in order for you to exist as you are as freedom while still being connected to the knowledge and power of what it is that you are, who it is that you are, and to be able to walk in that freedom. How to access a long-standing foundational sense of that just grows and grows and multiplies. That's where true abundance actually is, right? Not just in this. Okay? So you don't need to work harder. Now, there's gonna be points in your journey where you're gonna may have to put in a little, in order to get to what's in here. This is not to say that, especially if you're a person who is trying to step onto your own path for whatever reason. I'm gonna say this as well. I've made several references to this type of idea before, but I'm gonna say it clear as day. It does not matter what route you take in order to get to that point. Whether you're a spiritualist, a religious person, a person who does not believe in any of that, whether you are a person who's just simply looking to how to deal with your own emotions, your own anger, your own whatever the case may be, whatever perspective, get it, that you have surrounding that doesn't matter. The point is that if you align yourself with widening your perspective and trying to tap into what you are, knowing and embracing the source of what it is that you are, it's almost done backwards. So many people who get into this journey of trying to learn how to be themselves and embrace themselves and learn how to be a better person, a more healed person, learn how to be abundant, connected, a higher self, spiritually, religiously, whatever. So many people, it's almost like they're given a book that has 50 items in it that talks about all the things that make up you and all the things that you do, and say, now you work and trust the universe's flow in order to change these things about yourself, and then you'll make it to the shiny gold end of self-fulfillment and self-love, when it really should be the opposite. You're supposed to be presented on a silver platter. This is the beauty of you as you naturally are. This is the worth and the amazingness of what it is that you actually are. This is the power and the radiance and the connectedness of what it is that you actually are. Now let all the illusions of the perspective of the 50 things in this book that you experience, let all of the illusions that you're holding on to, let your perspective surrounding those things widen to where you can walk in this world with full truth and knowing and understanding of what those things are, their purpose, while knowing what you are and feeling that and embodying that naturally, authentically, rawly. Which is what so many people are trying to find in some way, shape, or form. So many people wish that they could do in their career, in their life, in their love life, at home, in bed, by themselves, whatever. Doesn't matter. You'll find that for yourself. I found it cosmically. I found it universally. I found it internally. I found it esoterically. I found it in truth. So put that power back into your hands. I'm not going to go into depth on decoding the shadow and decoding all these other, things that I talked about here. I wanted this message to be specific where it needed to be specific, and general where I felt it needed to be general for everyone who's here. Right? But I hope that this resonates with you. I hope that you take away something from this that you feel like you're meant to take away from this. And I promise you, you will find freedom in stopping trying to push yourself to be another version of you, and direct your attentions to widen your perspective on who it is and what it is that you actually are, and the energies that you experience and why and how, and allowing your freedom to actually find you at your center. That is the type of ease and the type of love and the type of freedom and the type of flow and the type of patience and the type of abundance internally, externally, no matter what it is that you want out of this life. that's where that freedom lies. That's the steps. If you still don't hear a difference from, some of the things I already said, I don't know what to say. No, but honestly, and let me end this with this. If anybody has any questions or any thoughts on this or theories or ideas or amens or whatever, please share them. I love and value having these types of conversations with you guys. I genuinely do. I appreciate that. And please let me know what else you would like me to talk about if you resonated with any of this message. And I hope that you do take away, if there's anything here for you, if it's meant that you take that away. So, you are loved. Love yourself. You already do. It's your natural state. Anyways, I have a birthday party to get to. It's Phoenix.